Not everyone that moved here last year is happy about it. 2024 was a fairly odd year when it comes to real estate, and some buyers are looking back with some serious regret.
Tell me about it.
Today, we're breaking down the 7 reasons why some people felt let down when moving to the Texas Hill Country and why 2025 is shaping up to be a completely different year. And make sure you stick around for the end because I have a tip for you that could potentially save you thousands when buying your dream property. So last year in 2024, while major cities throughout the state of Texas were still seeing pretty competitive real estate market trends, here in the Texas Hill Country, things were a lot slower than expected. Many buyers here in the Hill Country who had plans to sell their previous home before moving found themselves to be stuck because they weren't able to sell their home as quickly as they hoped to. And of course, for those who were relying on the sale of their previous home to fund their next purchase, this time delay was very frustrating, but also it was a very financially draining situation, especially if they're having to carry 2 mortgages. Now, I always recommended and advised if they were putting themselves into a financial situation that would jeopardize their livelihood, that maybe they should hold off and wait till they ultimately sold their previous property to move forward to their next one. But obviously, every circumstance and everybody's situation is a little bit different, so you just never know. But that was a real scenario and a real situation that we were dealing with here in the Hill Country. But so far here in 2025, we do feel like the market conditions are improving a little. We are getting a lot more phone calls and showings on our listings on the market, which is always a great sign. And also we're seeing a lot of properties go under contract. So I think as soon as we start seeing these interest rates hopefully come back down, I think we're gonna ultimately see a pretty strong 2025 real estate market. So really, I guess one of the biggest tips I can give you for this point is that if you are planning to move to the Texas Hill Country, make sure you have a clear, concise plan of what you're gonna do and how you're gonna sell your previous home before you actually jump into the market and start writing offers onto properties here locally in the Hill Country. Another very important aspect is pricing your property correctly. So if you are planning on selling another property in order to move forward with a new one here in the Hill Country, it is crucial to price it correctly right from the get-go. Now, that is one of the problems that we see here in the Texas Hill Country, is a lot of sellers are pricing their properties according to market numbers 2 to 3 years ago when we had extremely low interest rates. Unfortunately, that's just not the market today. So it is crucial to work with an experienced and a professional real estate agent who actually knows the market, who knows how to price a property strategically, that'll help you get your property sold so that you can move forward with your next purchase and move on with your life. Oh, and by the way, I'm Ryan Rendon with 4 Premier Properties here in the Texas Hill Country. Whether you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, I would love to be a realtor of choice. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, but also that little bell to get notified anytime I put out videos just like this one. Now, let's make sure that your move is one that you'll never regret by looking at the thing that caught many buyers by surprise and off guard, and that is property taxes. So Texas has no state income tax, which is absolutely great, but property taxes, they can be brutal. In the Hill Country, for example, the average property tax is sitting right around 1.56%, which is higher than the national average of 0.99%. In 2024, many buyers out there were so focused on the home price that they forgot to factor in how much the property taxes would add up. Now, I will say this is primarily cash buyers I'm talking about, because anybody who's getting a mortgage on a property through a bank or lender will typically have their taxes escrowed into their payment on a monthly basis, so they kind of know what to expect. But for cash buyers, on the other hand, when that first tax bill hit, let's just say it wasn't the welcome letter that they were expecting.
Property tax.
The biggest tip I can give you here is before you buy, just know what the property taxes are going to be, at least an estimated amount. Also find out whether that property is eligible for any type of tax exemption like ag exemption or wildlife exemption, because at the end of the day, that could save you a lot on your property taxes. And actually, even though you're prepared, there are still things that can catch us off guard. You only realize it after it already comes, and that is maintenance costs. And there's one thing here in this video that has a huge impact on maintenance costs, but for now, let's just talk about the basics. Living in the Hill Country often means owning acreage, an older home, or even both. And that obviously can come with maintenance headaches. Think septic tanks, water wells, brush clearing, and keeping up with fences. In 2024, a lot of buyers were so excited about their move that they did not budget for these hidden costs. And let me tell you, they can add up very quickly. If you are buying in 2025, make sure you factor in the cost of maintaining your property. A good rule of thumb is set aside 1 to 3% of your home's value each year for upkeep. And don't forget about those unexpected surprises. And now the huge impact I was talking about. Well, before we get to that, one thing that a lot of people appreciate is the change in lifestyle, although some people find it harder than expected. So on paper, rural living sounds perfect. Peace and quiet, starry skies, and no traffic. But for some people who moved here in 2024, the reality didn't quite match the dream. Long drives to grocery stores, spotty internet, and fewer entertainment options were a rude awakening. Although the internet is definitely improving, especially if you go with services like Starlink, there are definitely new improvements coming. So what I would do is subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout because I'll definitely cover those in future videos. For those of you moving to the Texas Hill Country from the cities, either big cities in Texas or cities outside of the state of Texas, the transition can be harder than you think. I would say one of the biggest tips I could give you for this is before you make the leap, come and visit our area, maybe stay for a little while, stay for a couple of months and really get a sense of what it feels like to live here before you make that big purchase. And let me tell you, there are a lot of options here. So just make sure that the rural lifestyle aligns with your needs, especially if you rely on fast internet or want quick access to urban conveniences. So I've mentioned that there's one thing that has a huge impact on property maintenance, and that is wildlife and the weather. And trust me, it's no joke. But first, let's talk about the weather. So 2024 was a year of weather extremes throughout the Texas Hill Country. We had crazy heat waves, which made the summer a little tough to bear, and flash floods in certain areas that caught new residents off guard. For anyone who wasn't prepared, the weather quickly went from charming to downright challenging. So one of the biggest tips I can give you for this section is to look at FEMA flood maps. So before you make a purchase, just see what kind of rivers and creeks you might have to cross to get into your home or property, but also make sure that your home has proper drainage. That is one of the biggest reasons we see foundation issues throughout the Hill Country is improper drainage. So 100% make sure that your property is drained correctly. And as for the heat, invest in good insulation, but also good high quality windows. It will make a world of a difference. Although it's not just weather, as I mentioned, one other thing that really affects property maintenance is wildlife. Especially if you're planning on having some kind of garden, you'll definitely need to protect it. Living here in the Hill Country means sharing your space with nature, sometimes a little too much. In 2024, new homecomers reported everything from deer wandering through their yards to encounters with snakes and even feral hogs. While this is a selling point for some, others weren't ready for the reality of living so close to the wild. So if you are planning on buying here in 2025, keep your grass trimmed, but also clear out the brush near your home. It will help minimize wildlife encounters, especially with animals like snakes. But if you're worried about bigger animals like wild hogs or maybe even deer, it might be a good idea to invest in some really good fencing. So in 2024, many buyers expected the Texas Hill Country to be an affordable escape from cities like Houston, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio. But what caught a lot of people off guard when they decided to make the transition and the move to the Hill Country is how high mortgage interest rates were. Many home buyers were pre-approved months ago or even a couple years ago, but maybe just weren't ready to jump into the market yet. By the time they were actually ready to go, they found out that their monthly payment, the monthly mortgage, was gonna be a lot higher than they initially anticipated. Some had to scale back their home search, and others actually put it off altogether just to wait for the interest rates to drop back down. Here in 2025, the interest rates are still a major factor, but you have a lot of negotiating power as a buyer in today's market. Now, if you are looking to buy this year, make sure you talk to a lender about rate buy downs. Now, this could be a temporary rate down like a 2-1 or a 3-1, or even a permanent buy down. A lot of home sellers in this market are getting pretty antsy or getting pretty motivated because their homes are sitting on the market for a long time. So you have that negotiating power to ask them to help cover for your closing costs or that rate buy down. So these are the 7 reasons why home buyers regretted moving to the Texas Hill Country last year in 2024. Sure, there were some downs, but there was plenty of ups too, especially this year, 2025, as it offers a brighter outlook for both buyers and sellers. Now, if you've reached it to this part of the video, congratulations. I now want to give you your tip that could save you thousands on buying your dream property. This year in 2025, sellers are offering more incentives like reduced prices, help with closing costs, and even helping out with significant repairs. That means buyers have more power when it comes to negotiations, which ultimately means saving you money in your back pocket. You know what? I did see this in action, especially in January. There were a lot of price reductions. You can also see this for yourself, linked to my website down below. Or if you want to know more, we can talk about it on a call. I'm Ryan Rendon with 4 Premier Properties. All my contact information is down below in the description. And whether you're thinking about buying or selling in 3 days or 3 years, I would love to be a realtor of choice. If you love this video and you'd like to hear more, make sure you hit the subscribe button, but also that little bell so you can get notified anytime I put out videos just like this one. We'll see you in the next video.